All of our animals here are meat animals. We have no dairy animals here. Try to keep a nice strand of grass. These are bottle babies. I raised all these goats, these two and that one. You can see her coming over. So like these two here, those are both Savannahs, actually a mother-daughter. For meat, I would strictly go with the South African boar. Again, that's a really nice, thick animal. Okay guys, so this is where I store all of my hay. I primarily like to feed my alfalfa to my goats. It's higher in protein. So I've got 26 goats. These are all females. And I've got one buck in here for breeding purposes. We always bring a buck from an outside farm. Record keep is really, really important. So I have several different spreadsheets on my computer, allowing them to be able to come out here and not just learn about it in a book, but be able to put their hands on an animal. These girls will be pregnant for 5 months and then I'll have kids. And if she doesn't do too good, it may be time for her to leave the farm. He's a Kiko cross. You can see the spots on him. One mistake could be overfeeding and underfeeding. So you want to make sure you're feeding a good ration. So these students are able to come out here and get hands-on experiences with these animals. I typically wean them off about, I think it was about 3 to 4 weeks. I actually just recently finished up a lab. We do hoof trimming, FOMACHA scoring, BCS, which is body condition scoring. We take fecal samples.
What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are here at North Carolina A&T State University for an incredible conversation with Mr. Christopher Casterlow, the small rudiment coordinator at the NC A&T University Forum. Chris oversees the management, education, and outreach programs involving goats and sheep here at the University Forum. His work centers around breeding management, parasite control, nutrition, and sustainable grazing, all critical parts of modern small rudiment production. He plays a major role in training students, supporting small-scale producers, and advancing applied research that strengthens the meat, goat, and sheep industry across North Carolina. With a strong background in livestock science and a passion for producer education, he helps bridge the gap between hands-on farm work and academic learning. In today's interview, we are going to dive into how he first got started in agriculture, what inspired him to focus on small rudiments like goats and sheep, and how the university herd is giving students real hands-on experience in animal science, herds management, and agriculture business. First, intro and background. How do you first get started in agriculture, and what drew you to focus on small rudiments like goats and sheep? Also, what inspired you to pursue a career in animal science and eventually become the small rudiment coordinator here at North Carolina A&T State University?
Starting here on the farm, I came here straight out of high school, always had an interest in agriculture. I worked here for a whole summer volunteering actually as just a farm helper, getting experience amongst all of the university farm. However, I typically worked with the animals, so I was kind of drawn to being around livestock and working with the animals. I always again knew I wanted to work with ag, and really just my time overall here eventually blessed me to be able to fall into a full-time position here in the university farm, and that's where we're at today. I primarily got into it through school, a lot of 4-H and animal science, a lot of ag classes throughout high school. And once I actually graduated, I did work on a couple different farms, horse farms, worked on a farm planting squash and zucchini, and always raised chickens. So I've always kind of been around animals, but I wasn't around a lot of large animals other than horses. So really before this, I had never worked with cows, never worked with goats and sheep, never worked with pigs.
Just like chickens and turkeys.
Just poultry pretty much, that's about it.
And what about ducks?
Never done anything with ducks.
Okay. So you are from here in North Carolina?
Right here in Greensboro, North Carolina. My dad's from a little small town of Rich Square, North Carolina. A lot of people don't realize where that's at. That's kind of down east near Roanoke Rapids, Scotland Neck, Ahoskie. A lot of farming land down there. So that also kind of drew me into farming. Always going down there as a kid. I would go down there. They were planting soybeans, cotton, corn, wheat,
so
a lot of stuff like that.
You've been around the country living and lifestyle.
Oh yeah, all my life pretty much. And my mom's from Caswell, so she always raised chickens. They had small gardens and stuff like that.
And that's here in North Carolina? Okay then.
Yeah. The most rewarding thing I would say so far is just being able to see my impact on the animals along with the students. I get the opportunity to work with students here on a daily basis. And then just kind of seeing everything that I'm doing, the overall really output of it, and just seeing this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm managing, and kind of getting the result of what I'm doing. That's a pretty good satisfaction for me. Not so much focusing on the research. I'm more of a hands-on person. I'd rather be out here working with the animals, but just maintaining animal welfare, keeping them up. We've been doing a lot of breeding and stuff like that, and just coming in every day and seeing how the farm grows and how the animals are growing, and then coming back to realize that's a result of what I'm doing. It's a pretty good feeling. One experience, I've taken a lot of different labs, courses.
Can you explain to people what a lab is?
So the labs here at the university is a school of research. So we do a lot of different hands-on labs. I actually just recently finished up a lab. We do hoof trimming, FOMACHA scoring, BCS, which is body condition scoring. We take fecal samples, but we primarily do blood samples to check for different parasites. We have a lot of parasite studies we do. So coming out here, my first project here as a full-time coordinator, I had what's called Florida Cracker sheep. They're wool sheep. And we had a parasite study going on with them checking for worms. And just looking at that research and knowing that I was helping along with that research project really kind of impacted me and showed me the importance of, you know, different diseases that these animals can get, how to manage that and how to control it. So that kind of inspired me a little bit more as a new employee to kind of take over this unit in the full swing.
Yes, sir. Okay, next is university roles and daily work. What does a typical day look like for you at the farm?
So a typical day for me, we work here on the university farm 8 to 5. As soon as I get here, my main objective is to come out and get a quick overview of all my animals, making sure my animals are healthy. I don't have any animals that are injured or down. As soon as I do that, I typically begin my feeding schedule. So I feed once a day. We feed a grain, just pelletized grain, and I also feed hay, as well as these animals are able to graze and pretty much forage on any of this pasture and brush around, and I do rotate them around a little bit to other woodlots.
How do you balance animal care, research, and student involvement here at the university farm?
So balancing animal care,
and pretty much just stated that with the labs as well.
Pretty much just observing the animals, making sure no one has any visible signs of being sickly. We do a lot of parasite research again. So these animals are given blood samples and fecal samples pretty often through research to determine whether they have parasites, what their parasite load is. Again, with FOMACHA, that's a really quick, easy way for me to assess that. And if needed, we'll medicate then. My favorite part of that is being able to teach the same things that I was taught. So just being able to teach another generation and pretty much allowing another farmer to grow based off of that knowledge. However, I'm still learning by other doctors and professors here, but when that comes to the students coming on the university, I'm able to teach them and pretty much pass on my knowledge to them.
Okay, so how does the university Small Rudiments program support the broader agriculture community for someone wanting to dive into goats or sheep?
So we do a lot of tours here on the university farm. Primarily, we will tour the entire farm, but if you want an actual private tour at each desired unit, people that's wanting to get into raising goats and raising sheep, they can come out here and kind of see some of the practices and roles that we have. We do also breed here. So with our breeding, we breed once a year. I do sell my little bucks and does to the public.
So if someone here in North Carolina can come and buy
someone can come in and purchase my little kids. I prefer not to sell my doelings because they're my replacements, but all my little bucks and a few does here and there I will sell to the public, as well as full grown does. As they get a little bit older or anything similar to that, I will sell them off to the public as well. But these animals are primarily all used for research.
And how many goats do you have here currently?
So I've got 26 goats. These are all females, and I've got one buck in here for breeding purposes.
I believe
my buck is inside. Yeah, he's inside right now, but these are all females.
Okay, next is herd management and research focus. What breed of goats and sheep are currently on the university farm, and why are they chosen?
So our main herd consists of what's called a South African boar. South African boar is a meat goat. All of our animals here are meat animals. We have no dairy animals here. South African boar is a nice, herdy, sturdy animal. So I primarily like to use them. Now we do have Spanish. I've got some Spanish crosses, similar to the one you see right over here, this black-headed one. That's called a black-hooded boar. And I've got some Savannahs in here as well. Savannah is going to be your solid white goat. If we step inside here, you'll see her. So like these two here, those are both Savannahs. Actually a mother-daughter combo there.
Right here. Who's the mother?
So that one that just walked off, that's her mother. That's Dodge, and this is her daughter right here, Snow White. So those two are Savannahs. But I mean, I also have right now my buck. He's a Kiko cross. So that's him that's spotted over there. He's a little bit over 1 year old. So right now, again, he is in here for breeding purposes. I'm going to be expecting kids about the end of February, early March. It's 150 days for goats, so 5 months for their gestation. So I'll have kids come up. Pumpkin here, I believe she's a Spanish cross. She's a really good goat. We try to pick nice, firm animals, animals that have been, you know, kind of well known for being able to work with people and fight off parasites as good as they can. Our goats have the possibility, you know, they're not as parasite resistant as our sheep. They can acquire more parasites. Our sheep, St. Croix, that's the top of the line. That's why we have those St. Croix. They're extremely parasite resistant. Katahdins are also good. But those animals over there, I don't have to worry about parasites as much as I do with these goats.
So this kind of dives into what you're already talking about. How does the team approach breeding, kidding, and herd health management with the goats and the sheep as well?
So breeding, again, these girls are all bred once a year. We always bring a buck from an outside farm, nothing traced back to their bloodline.
So each year we're switching the buck?
Each year we're switching a buck. We don't keep a buck on the farm for breeding. I always bring one outside. So just like this guy that I have here, as soon as my breeding process is done, he's gonna be gone. The heat cycle for goats is between 18 to 22 days. So I like to keep him in here a little bit over a month. You can see he's pretty friendly, trying to come up to us. And again, these girls will be pregnant for 5 months, and then I'll have kids. Again, I just finished up kidding here a little over the summer, a little ways back. And these are the offspring that I have from these girls here. So we did do what's called an accelerated breeding program. I kind of bred my goats, again, a little bit faster than I would like to. Nothing that's going to harm them. But just to get back on schedule with my labs here on campus, our castration labs and stuff like that. But these are going to be all my replacements for these girls.
So you're castrating goats as well? Castrating
for research purposes, just for the students to be able to come out here and see that, and get some hands-on experiences castrating them, turning them into wethers. And even a couple of them I'll be able to keep and add into the herd, similar to Bo here. That would be a wether right there. I castrated him, and he's going to stay in with the main herd.
Okay.
My sheep right now, I'm not breeding them. Yep, that's Bo. So that's a little. These are bottle babies. I raised all these goats, these two and that one. You can see her coming over from about 2 days old. Okay. So that's one thing that I like on the farm. I had a first-time mom that wasn't quite as good. However, I kind of got a little benefit out of it because I have good animals for students to come up with and interact with, similar to these four right here. So Pumpkin here, this goat is a pretty sweet goat. Pumpkin was raised up from just a couple hours old. So that just shows you the difference of a goat that has been a bottle baby. They're always going to be a lot friendlier, more so of a pet, essentially. Right here is Snow White, and I have Oreo back there. These three right here that you see, that are black-hooded ones, they were actually show goats. So I purchased them from a different farm. Really good, nice, thick goat. And they're kind of young. They're a little bit over a year. But still just trying to have a good management of animals. And a good bloodline.
With that being said, what are some common challenges in raising goats, like parasites, nutrition, that you emphasize in your teaching?
Yeah, so
especially like just with me coming to volunteer as well.
A lot of issues. So pretty much keeping things as clean as you can, keeping your waters clean, keeping your feeders clean. I change out my waters and pretty much every at least other day. I try to change out my waters. We keep them with plenty of hay. This is just fresh cut grass hay. That we actually do harvest here from the farm. Now coming back to grazing and pasture management, that's another thing. So if we step back out here, you'll see these goats do what I call rotational grazing. So I will allow these animals to graze a pasture for a certain amount of time, and then I will move them on to another pasture. So all of our pastures here are heavily rotated. I can divide them off. They have access to this pasture, this huge pasture right here, and I can separate them with wire or anything like that to keep them on one side of it. And pretty much they're able to go all the way back to the woods. A lot of issues that you'll have with parasites is when you have animals on grounds that is really wet, kind of muggy like and muddy. Those parasites do come up. They say you never want to cut your pasture or allow animals to graze below 4 inches. So the parasite can come up to 4 inches. So I try to keep a nice strand of grass. Again, when it's wet, I typically like the nice height. I like to bring my animals in, keep them off of this wet area, which again, it's just opening up the exposure for them to acquire parasites. And then just rotate them. Once I have them grazing on the field and they graze it down pretty well, or to a height that I'm comfortable, I'm good. I'm going to the next pasture.
So how important is record keeping in herd improvement, and what tools or systems do you use? Based off everything you're telling me with grazing and health, How do you keep up with record keeping?
Record keep is really, really important. So I have several different spreadsheets on my computer, all electronic. I have every single spreadsheet and tag identification number for every animal out here. When that animal was born, when it came here, if it had any type of sickness, I'm documenting that. Any type of medications that I give them, I'm documenting that. When that animal kidded, I'm documenting that. Every animal here that has kidded already has their kids tied to them, so I know who kidded to who my offspring is.
Yes, sir.
And all that is allowing me to do is go back and kind of keep track of every animal. If I have a doe out here that kidded this past time over the summer here and wasn't too much of a good mom, I'm going to write that in my notes right beside it. That way when I know when I'm breeding again now, that doe specifically needs to kind of be monitored a little bit more. And if she doesn't do too good, it may be time for her to leave the farm. It may be time for her to find a new home.
And that's
similar to my buck. I'm going to have a documentation of him.
And I was going to ask you that,
here.
Since you're getting a new buck every year, do you still keep documents of each buck that you did have?
I do. So I'll keep documents of him because, again, if I have really good kids from him, at least I can go back and say, hey, this guy really produced me some good kids. I may want to use him again in the near future. However, I'm probably going to bring in a separate buck for my next breeding time, which will be in October.
This is his first time breeding this herd.
This is his first time. So again, he's a Kiko cross. You can see the spots on him. A lot of people really like those spots. And I have a dappled, what's called a dappled doe. You can see her walking off. She's the spotted one.
I see her up there.
So opposed to your traditional just white body, brown hood, I'm going to have a lot of spotted kids that's going to bring in a lot more money. And I think they just look cool. So they also bring in a lot more to stockyard, but that'll just kind of give us some different color within our herd.
Yeah, and then make it look more vibrant. So what lessons about herd behavior or animal welfare do you try to pass down to the community and the students as well?
The most important thing, again, is kind of just keeping your barn, keeping your animals clean. Again, right now we have kids. Coccidia is a really, really big thing. You have to monitor with them. Haven't really had any issues with that, but just keeping your animals clean, keeping your pastures nice and healthy, keeping nice fresh hay to our animals. Our main thing to fight off parasites with these goats is keeping them with plenty of hay. If they have hay, that hay is pretty much dried out and cured. There's no parasites, no worms in that hay. I can have them entirely on that and allow them to come out here and just kind of nibble and snack on my pasture instead of relying entirely on a meal out here in the pasture, which is going to increase their risk of parasites. So pretty much just managing your pastures and monitoring your animals, keeping your animals healthy. Goats and sheep are herd animals. You'll have a herd of goats and a flock of sheep. If you see a single animal kind of strayed away from the main herd, that's a sign of a sickness. Another good way with goats tails are up, sheep tails are down. So if I have a goat that's walking around and its tail's down, that goat looks kind of lethargic, it's kind of isolated itself from the main herd, I know that's the issue with that goat. That's something I need to go in and inspect. Again, even with all the animals that we have here, you can kind of tell these animals are in a big herd, being herd animals as they are. Now, if I was out here and I saw a goat way down here at the bottom of my pasture, I'm going to suspect something's wrong and kind of come out and check that. I may do a quick FOMACHA score and then give it the treatment that it needs at that time, because something's likely wrong with it.
Okay, guys, we actually moved some hay this morning and we were just talking about hay, so I'm going to let Chris, you know what I'm saying, get his input on.
Okay, guys, so this is where I store all of my hay. If you come over here, this is all grass hay. We have grass hay and alfalfa on the farm. However, this year and in the past, we haven't done too well with alfalfa. If you come over here, you'll see the little bit of alfalfa hay that I have left. I'm trying to hold on to that as much as possible. I primarily like to feed my alfalfa to my goats. It's higher in protein, which those goats need, and I typically feed all my grass to my sheep. So you see all of our hay racks right now are full of grass hay. Now don't be confused, the goats can still eat grass hay. It's just better giving them alfalfa or some type of alfalfa supplement with that. So eventually when I run out of alfalfa, I'll have a supplement that I'll put in if I can't find any alfalfa from a local farmer.
The next section is breed selection and genetics. How do you compare breeds like Boers, Kikos, Spanish, or Savannah goats in terms of performance and management?
My preferred breed among all is going to be your South African Boer, or as you said, your traditional just Boer goat. Boers are really nice, thick, solid animals. They're hefty. Primarily my first choice for meat purposes. Again, these animals are primarily used for research, but your Boer is just going to be a really nice, solid, thick looking goat. So again, most of these are South African Boers, and we generally have bred them with a 100% South African born buck in the past, but I just wanted to go with something a little bit different. You mentioned Kiko, which is what that guy is back there. Gives it a little bit more color. He's a little bit smaller frame than a boar, but still a really good solid buck for breeding purposes here on the farm. But you look at that, some of your boars, like that brown girl right there, how really big and thick she is. Again, look at my white one out there.
Yeah, I see.
With their brown hood, she's really big. Some people like to pick different breeds based off of horn patterns and horn growth. So your Savannahs are going to be kind of having a similar horn pattern to your boars, but your Spanish goats can have some really crazy cool looking horns. And that really just depends. We have no polled animals out here, which means they don't have horns. All of my animals here have horns.
Okay.
Minus my sheep. They don't. They're St. Croix, so they're polled animals. But all of my goats here do have horns.
So with that being said, does the university do any crossbreeding or performance testing between breeds?
We do. So again, essentially what we're doing right now is crossbreeding. I'm breeding some Savannahs, I'm breeding some Spanish, and again, they're all being bred by Kiko Cross. So I'm kind of crossing those breeds. No, there's no cross between their bloodlines, but just getting a different output of animals based off of that, different genes and different traits. A lot of people don't like to cross animals and keep them 100% one breed, but for research here, I like to get different animals and different views and just different
perspectives,
looks and perspectives amongst the whole herd.
Okay, so what advice will you give to a new producer choosing a breed for meat versus breeding purposes?
For meat, I would strictly go with the South African boar. Again, that's a really nice, thick animal. It's going to produce a lot of meat. I wouldn't go in here and try to raise up Spanish goats for meat or Nigerian dwarfs or something. That's a really small frame goat. Pick your nice, hardy, thick animal for meat production.
So how does genetics and selecting breeding contribute to long-term improvement of small rudiment herds?
So selective breeding, which is kind of what we're trying to get into, my main objective here is to build a nice, really strong, established herd. And what I mean by that is getting animals that are capable of fighting off parasites really easy. I don't want an animal that is resistant to a parasite more than another one and can kind of contaminate them. So you have resistance and resilience. I'd rather have resistance than resilience. That animal can pretty much obtain those parasites and it doesn't affect them as much, and they're just passing it on to the herd. So just kind of going through here, managing your animals, picking off some that may not be as good, having a good select herd will eventually set you up to have a good turnout as we have over here with kids. I have some really good sized doelings over there, which is just a good turnout from their good does that we're breeding.
Okay. So the next section is pasture and feed. Do you incorporate browse areas or diverse forages to improve nutrition?
So I do. Across the street, I have a huge wooded in lot. It's got a bunch of kudzu in it and a lot of other natural vegetation. A lot of times goats are over there. However, right now, since we're breeding, I don't have any over there. So going back to grazing, sheep are grazers and your goats are kind of browsers. They're going to reach up high and kind of look for forage to get into. So I allow those animals to go in there and pick through. I only feed a little bit of grain when they're over there. Other than that, those animals are primarily just foraging through that whole wooded lot, eating natural vegetation, allowing them to kind of maintain a good, healthy rumen.
Okay, so what's the biggest mistake new goat owners make when it comes to feeding or pasture care? But before that, would you like to show the people the other area after the questions?
I can. That'll be good.
So the question again is, what's the biggest mistake a new goat owner makes when it comes to feeding or pasture care?
So I would say one mistake could be overfeeding and underfeeding. So you want to make sure you're feeding a good ration that's going to maintain the whole herd without one getting so much food and one not getting enough. So with all these animals, I'm pretty much calculating the amount of animals I have in here, and I'm able to kind of calculate how much I need to be feeding them a day. So every herd is different depending on how many animals you have.
And like competition as well as
that. As similar to my all my does, they're getting a little bit different feed ration than all my kids are over here. So these are young kids. They're not getting quite as much. You can get them on starter feeds and stuff to get them to put on weight a little bit more. But again, they're on this same hay and grain as those girls. They're just not quite getting as much.
So the next section is education, outreach, and student development. What do you enjoy most about training and mentoring the next generation of agriculture professionals?
What I enjoy most about that is just working with other people that are interested in ag. Again, I've always kind of been around people that were interested in it, but just being able to kind of give my knowledge to someone else and allow them to be able to grow from that. And again, I'm still going to trainings, the knowledge and labs, exercises, and really overall appointments never end with meeting with people, going to get hands-on experience with people and just learning. So as I continue to learn and expand my knowledge with small ruminants, being able to have the students that come out here, some students may have never even worked with animals, never touched an animal, never even seen a sheep or a goat before in their life. So just being able to teach them some just small key things when raising animals is really kind of beneficial to me, while allowing me to be able to, again, continue to learn. I'm passing it down to another generation.
Okay, so how can students interested in animal production or agriculture businesses benefit from working in the small ruminant unit?
So one good thing about this university farm, some other schools you go to, you don't get quite as much hands-on experience with the animals. Now, you will be able to learn a little bit in your classroom, but when it comes down to it, the quickest way to learn something is to just do it. So these students are able to come out here and get hands-on experiences with these animals, doing a variety of different stuff. Again, going back to our hoof trimming, maybe something as minor as that, as major as a full research project where we're coming out here taking research data every single day. So allowing them to be able to come out here and not just learn about it in a book, but be able to put their hands on an animal and really get a feel for what's going to be like, I guess, raising a farmer in the real world is a really kind of beneficial thing for them, to allow them to grow. And it really just puts them a couple steps ahead when they get ready to pursue that.
And you're kind of answering the questions already, but the next question was, what key skills or certifications should students pursue if they want to work in the livestock industry?
So depending on which type of livestock you want to go into, with me, I'll do sheep and goats, as we see. I do a lot of different workshops. Pretty much going to workshops all over North Carolina here and just learning different things. You can never learn enough. You can never really, I guess, reach a maximum level of knowledge with these animals. There's a lot to them, especially with parasites. That's one thing I'm trying to mostly focus on right now, managing and learning about all different kind of parasites and things, how I can control them. Primarily, you're going to find a lot of your research focused directly on sheep, not as much with goats. But a lot of it can kind of be traced back to it, learning a lot about your medication. So just going to as many workshops as you can. A lot of these workshops aren't very expensive. You may go to some for $10, $20, somewhere around there.
And it's just being able to pay for mentorship and knowledge.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't want to.
So you may go out to a small local farm, and that guy can kind of show you some of his practices and daily chores and how he does stuff and manages stuff. And I've done that myself.
So
and
that's
then I
kind
go
of
back
like
to my farm and incorporate it.
Yeah. So not to cut you off. So kind of like workshopping, field days, as you stated, workshops. So what are there any upcoming workshops or field days for students or producers should they know about, or that you know about outside of school?
I don't have any outside. I've taken a bunch of workshops in Orange County and Davidson County. However, we don't have any that are upcoming right now. I've been to a lot of the FAMACHA workshops and going again with parasite studies, but I don't have any that are upcoming right now. Other than our labs right here on the university farm, we are doing labs this week, so that's one thing that they're doing. But outside of the farm, no. So
going to the workshops, outside of someone running a field day workshop, the people that you meet there at the workshop try to gain the knowledge as well. Exactly. Is that a good way for networking, or do you kind of lock in relationships at workshops outside of the people running the workshop?
I do. So believe it or not, that's a good point you made up. So when I go to these workshops, I'm always looking to gain knowledge from anyone there, because we're all there for the same reason. Again, I may go in there and know a little bit less than the next person. I may know a little bit more than the next person, but I'm always going to be speaking to people that's in the classroom and gaining knowledge from them. Here at A&T, we work a lot with North Carolina State University. So I've actually been in several workshops with the lady there. I won't say her name, but I've taken several workshops with her. And that's a person that I can actually sit down to and say, hey, how do you do this? How do you control this? How do you manage this? She actually manages their small ruminant unit there as well. So being able to kind of compare different stuff, she's given me a lot of advice on how to manage that and things that I can do. A lot of the professors that are teaching these workshops are from NC State University. So they have a lot of experience and knowledge with working with small ruminants. So these are just people that are just open books that I can just gather knowledge and research.
They can gather knowledge from you as well.
That I can just kind of eventually grow my herd and switch over some of my things that I may be doing to kind of benefit myself and establish and maintain a sturdy herd.
So where do you want your herd to be next year or the years to come? How big? You want to continue for it to grow and grow sheep and goats?
I want to keep growing. Now, me personally, again, we have St. Croix sheep right now. I would like to transition over into what's called Katahdins, just a different breed.
Katahdins.
I would like to get Katahdins. So my St. Croix sheep, they're really good for being parasite resistant, which is why we primarily have them, but so are Katahdins. I would like to get Katahdins and just get a younger flock of animals and then start breeding. These sheep are pretty old, and I just like to get some younger animals in and get these animals out and then start raising my sheep herd back up as far as numbers. Goats, we're already working on that. Again, as you guys saw all the doelings in there, those are going to be my replacements. Right now, as soon as they're being weaned off, they're going to be introduced back into the herd. And I want to pretty much grow my herd as much as I need to establish a nice herd.
So is there any weaning practices, like specific things you do, or you just separate them?
So
or
I
like
just
at timing, like what you consider the right time to start weaning?
So I typically wean them off about, I think it was about 3 to 4 weeks when I wean them. And again, that's just separating them off of their mom, getting them off of that milk. Again, a couple days into birth, believe it or not, these kids are going to start walking around just nibbling on a little different stuff. And once I see they're starting to nibble, then I know, you know, they're kind of picking it up. I'll have them on grain. I'll have them on grass. Sometimes I'll actually let them out here in the pasture where they can kind of move around and on that grain, just allowing them to continue to grow. But my main purpose is to allow that doe to dry up, get some weight back on her, get her nice and healthy. Again, when she's nursing that little kid, all her energy is drained down. Away, so before I started breeding, I wanted them to put a little bit more weight on, get their milk dried up and be nice and healthy before then. So I weaned a little bit sooner than I would have liked to, but we're still growing and they're doing really well.
So guys, we're finna go on and close it out. But lastly, Chris, what keeps you motivated to continue this work every day?
What really keeps me motivated is really just my natural drive for agriculture. I love to be around animals, work with animals. I don't look at this job as essentially work. For me, this is just another day in paradise for me, really. Yep. I don't come in here and dread my job. I love to be around these animals, interacting with the students, learning, continuing to learn every single day about these animals. I just really genuinely enjoy it and have a passion for it. So it just keeps me motivated to keep learning, keep doing these workshops, keep teaching, and just keep trying to broaden my knowledge for them overall. But again, just my natural drive for farming, agriculture, and these specific animals in general just keeps me motivated to come in every day and continue working with them. Raising up little animals like these three. Again, this is Bo here. This is Honey, and that's Reba. So I really get a lot of satisfaction when I'm raising up animals and just seeing how they're doing, how they're growing, how well they're doing with the other animals. It's just a really good turnout and result for me in the end.
Guys, we're going to go on and close it out. Chris, I appreciate you tuning in
with me,
my guy, man. You got anything else to say?
Well, I hope y'all get into small farming, what we're doing here on a small scale, get into some small ruminants, just start out with a really small herd of animals or a flock of animals. And just see what it is, learn a little bit as you go to these workshops, try to expand your knowledge in it. But the easiest way to do it is just to get started. That's kind of what I did, and just jump into it full swing.
And I'm out here with Chris 24/7, man. He taught me almost everything I know about goats and sheep, man. So
really cool animals.
You, man.
No problem.
Appreciate you coming through, and we out.